In this American film, which leans more towards action than comedy, we are introduced to Yuri Boyka, the most formidable fighter on the planet. Recently released from a harsh Russian prison, he is poised to dominate the world of mixed martial arts. However, even in his most challenging moments, he could not have anticipated the obstacles that lie ahead on his quest for global supremacy. Boyka! Now training and competing in Kiev, Yuri has undergone a transformation. After spending a grueling decade in a maximum security facility, where underground bouts were his sole means of survival, his ambition for greatness has intensified. While many might falter under the burden of their past, Yuri's aspirations are unwavering. He seeks authentic championship titles rather than mere victories achieved in confinement. Yet, far from Kiev, within the notorious Black Hills prison that shaped Yuri's legacy, a new adversary has emerged. Dubbed the Nightmare, this unpredictable and ruthless inmate is constructing his own reign of terror. More dangerous than any opponent Yuri has encountered, he poses a significant threat to everything Yuri strives to achieve. Two distinct paths. Two formidable fighters. One unavoidable confrontation. When these worlds intersect, the struggle will extend beyond mere glory. It will be a matter of survival. One day, Yuri visits a local church to make a contribution. Having financed the church's construction, he seeks comfort in faith, yearning for redemption. However, the priest challenges his path of violence, stating,
"Violence is not the answer."
Yuri, however, holds a different view, convinced that his combat skills are a divine endowment, and it would be sinful not to utilize them. With unwavering determination, he persists in his training. Shortly thereafter, Yuri's manager, Kirill, informs him of an official qualifying match for a European MMA championship. This is not a mere underground fight. Scouts will be present to identify elite fighters. With a strong resolve, Yuri travels to Budapest alongside Kirill, intent on making a lasting impression. As the fight commences, an electric atmosphere envelopes the arena, with the crowd erupting in cheers as Yuri and his opponent confront each other in the center of the ring. From the outset, it becomes evident that Yuri's adversary is no ordinary contender. His movements are sharp, calculated, and precise, compelling Yuri to remain vigilant. Each swing of his opponent's fists comes perilously close, and Yuri finds himself struggling to evade the unrelenting onslaught of strikes. Beads of sweat accumulate on his brow as he narrowly avoids several near knockouts, each instance eliciting gasps from the audience. Yuri's renowned endurance is put to the test as his opponent remains steadfast, unwilling to concede. The relentless determination of the challenger begins to take its toll on Yuri, and a hint of frustration seeps into his typically composed demeanor. The confidence exuded by his adversary only serves to intensify Yuri's resolve, prompting him to adopt a more aggressive stance, his gaze fixed on the target like a predator tracking its prey. In a sudden display of strength, Yuri launches a ferocious barrage of strikes. Each punch connects with remarkable accuracy, devastating blows to the chest and head that force his opponent to stagger backward. The impact is unmistakable. His opponent crumples to the mat, lifeless. The referee intervenes, declaring Yuri the winner, prompting an eruption of cheers from the crowd. Standing tall, with his chest heaving and arms raised in victory, Yuri understands that he has reaffirmed his status as a formidable competitor. Following the match, scouts approach Yuri, commending his performance and extending an invitation to another tournament in Budapest in 2 weeks. Eagerly, Yuri accepts and collects his prize money from Kirill. As he exits the arena, Yuri observes his opponent being transported on a stretcher, critically injured and en route to intensive care. Disturbed by the sight, he reflects on the priest's admonitions regarding violence, leading him to question his own actions. The following morning, Yuri awakens from a troubling nightmare and proceeds to the gym to address his concerns with Kirill regarding the condition of his opponent. Kirill brushes off Yuri's worries, asserting that all fighters are aware of the inherent risks involved. However, upon discovering that his opponent was Victor, a resident of the Russian town of Drovny, and seeing a photograph of Victor alongside his wife, Yuri resolves to journey to Russia to seek redemption.
Going to Russia.
Russia? Are you crazy?
Despite being a fugitive, he insists on obtaining forged documents to facilitate his travel. In Drovny, Victor's funeral is underway. A dubious individual approaches Victor's widow, callously informing her that her husband's death does not eliminate his financial obligations, and that she is now responsible for settling those debts. Meanwhile, Yuri successfully crosses the Russian border using a counterfeit passport and checks into a hotel. He makes his way to the youth center where Victor's widow is employed, but before they can engage in conversation, men in a black vehicle arrive and abduct her. Yuri pressures a local security guard for information about her location, discovering that she has a second job at an undisclosed site. Following this lead, Yuri tracks her to a nightclub known for hosting underground fights. There, he witnesses the club's reigning champion, Igor Kazmir, employing unscrupulous tactics to dominate his opponents, while also spotting Victor's widow working as a waitress. He makes his way toward her but is halted by the club's security personnel, who promptly escort him outside, cautioning him that she belongs to their boss and that he is prohibited from approaching her. After being ejected from the nightclub, Yuri Boyka encounters security guards who taunt him. In a swift response, Yuri neutralizes them, leaving them incapacitated on the ground. The disturbance attracts the attention of a wary individual, Zurab, who identifies himself as the owner of the club and a local crime lord. Commending Yuri's abilities, Zurab extends an invitation for him to join his underground fighting circuit. Yuri, however, declines, expressing that his sole intention is to speak with Alma, the waitress, and widow of Victor. Zurab rebuffs this request and instructs his men to monitor Yuri closely. The next day, Yuri returns to Alma's place of employment. After incapacitating one of Zurab's henchmen, he forces his way in to see Alma. Initially, Yuri finds it difficult to disclose the truth, instead offering his sympathies and presenting her with a letter from her deceased husband. When Alma inquires about his connection to Victor, Yuri ultimately admits that he was the one who fought Victor in Kiev. Shocked and heartbroken, Alma rejects Yuri's offer of financial help, denouncing the money as blood money and labeling him a murderer. Zurab finds himself discontented with his current roster of fighters and is in pursuit of a genuine champion to transform his events into spectacular showcases. His quest is interrupted by the arrival of Yuri at the club, who proposes a bargain. He will compete in Zurab's ring in return for Alma's release. Zurab consents but imposes stringent conditions. Yuri must secure victories in 3 matches within a week and ultimately confront the club's reigning champion, Igor Kazmir. Zurab further reveals his awareness of Yuri's true identity, indicating that his reach extends to uncovering Yuri's falsified documents. "My ring, my rules," Zurab asserts. Following the agreement, Yuri contacts Kirill to inform him of the need to postpone his return. Despite Kirill's protests, Yuri remains steadfast and insists on rescheduling his ticket. The following day, Alma confronts Yuri outside his hotel, expressing her anger over his interference in her affairs. She mistakenly assumes that Yuri's intentions are romantic, but he clarifies that his purpose is to save himself, not her. The first match approaches, and Zurab observes with satisfaction as Yuri prepares to take on a formidable and skilled adversary. Despite the initial difficulties, Yuri swiftly regains control and secures a decisive victory, pinning his opponent and showcasing his superiority. After the bout, Alma tentatively approaches Yuri to offer him water. Yuri inquires about a nearby gym, expressing his reluctance to train at Zurab's facility due to the undesirable clientele. Alma, albeit hesitantly, permits him to train at the youth center where she is employed. The second match proves to be significantly more perilous than Yuri had expected. Just moments before entering the ring, he discovers that he will not be contending against a single adversary, but rather 2, the infamous Ozerov brothers. The brothers stand ominously in the ring, radiating confidence, their reputation as a formidable pair well established. Zurab, with a cunning smile, reminds Yuri, "My ring, my rules." The 2-on-1 arrangement initially unsettles Yuri, as the brothers launch their attacks with precision and coordination, leaving him little opportunity to recover. At first, Yuri finds himself overwhelmed, but he is compelled to summon his inner strength. By observing their movements, he begins to adjust his strategy, leveraging his superior technique and quick reflexes to capitalize on their vulnerabilities. With deliberate maneuvers, Yuri gradually gains the upper hand in the fight, delivering powerful strikes to the brothers. Nevertheless, the unyielding intensity of the confrontation begins to take its toll on him. At one juncture, one of the brothers lands a devastating blow to Yuri's back, sending a sharp jolt of pain coursing through him. Yuri winces and momentarily falters, yet he remains resolute in his determination to persevere. Summoning all of his remaining strength, Yuri unleashes a fierce counterattack. In a climactic moment, he sends both brothers crashing to the ground, their bodies striking the mat with a loud thud. The audience erupts in cheers as Yuri sinks to his knees, his chest rising and falling rapidly from fatigue. His name reverberates throughout the arena, chanted by a crowd that has just witnessed his unwavering determination. Among them, Alma observes in amazement, her view of Yuri transforming as she recognizes not merely a fighter, but a man of remarkable resolve and tenacity. Meanwhile, Zurab is in a meeting with a corrupt police lieutenant in his office. Zurab insists that the officer procure the Nightmare, a notorious inmate from Black Hills Prison, for an upcoming match. Although the officer hesitates due to previous dangers, he ultimately consents after Zurab offers a substantial reward, which includes the capture of Yuri Boyka. Oblivious to Zurab's intentions, Yuri persists in his training. Alma pays him a visit during his workout, proposing to alleviate his injured back with a special herbal ointment. However, when Yuri inquires about her reasons for not leaving the city, Alma becomes offended and storms away. She discloses that the youth center represents a shared dream with her late husband, a vision they financed by borrowing money from Zurab, a choice that now binds her to the crime lord's influence. Alma is resolute in her commitment to the youth center and the children who rely on it, deeming any suggestion to abandon it as sheer madness. Zurab, noticing Yuri's frequent visits to Alma's workplace, becomes consumed by jealousy. He confronts Alma in an attempt to sway her opinion against Yuri, trivializing Victor's death by labeling it merely an accident. In the meantime, Kirill contacts Yuri to inform him that Budapest is adorned with posters bearing his name, and there is considerable anticipation for his participation in the upcoming tournament. Yuri assures Kirill that he will arrive at the bus station by 9 p.m. that evening. However, upon his return to the hotel, he discovers Alma waiting for him. She demands to learn the truth regarding the events of Victor's last fight, insisting that even if it was not an accident, she must hear the details. With reluctance, Yuri begins to share his past. He admits to having committed grave offenses that resulted in his imprisonment, where he became a man filled with hatred and anger. It was only after finding faith in God that he began to transform. Yuri recounts how, during his fight with Victor, he ceased to view his opponent as a human being and instead perceived him solely as an obstacle to his aspirations. Although he understands that his revelations cannot provide Alma with solace, Yuri conveys his profound remorse. The moment of truth arrives as Yuri prepares for his eagerly awaited match against Igor Kazmir, the reigning champion known for his brutal fighting style. The bout commences with a fervor that captivates the audience, as Kazmir swiftly capitalizes on Yuri's vulnerabilities. Noticing Yuri's injured back, Kazmir resorts to underhanded tactics, delivering punishing blows that inflict excruciating pain upon Yuri. Each strike brings Yuri closer to his breaking point, his energy diminishing under the unyielding barrage. At one moment, he collapses onto the mat, struggling to regain his footing. Sensing an imminent victory, Kazmir begins to celebrate too soon, mocking the audience while continuing to strike Yuri's back. The champion's excessive confidence appears to herald Yuri's downfall, as he lies still for a brief moment, battling the temptation to surrender. Amidst the tumult of the arena, Yuri catches sight of Alma in the stands. Her anxious expression cuts through his hopelessness, igniting a flicker of resolve within him. With a fierce cry, Yuri forces himself back to his feet, shocking the crowd into a frenzy. Kazmir, taken aback, has little time to respond before Yuri launches a fierce counteroffensive. Driven by sheer determination, Yuri unleashes a barrage of powerful strikes that leave Kazmir reeling and disoriented. The tension escalates as Yuri delivers a final, crushing kick to Kazmir's head, sending him crashing to the canvas. The audience erupts in jubilant cheers as the referee raises Yuri's hand in triumph. Worn yet victorious, Yuri gazes into the crowd, meeting Alma's eyes, who now perceives him in a completely different light. Surrounded by enthusiastic supporters chanting his name, Yuri is convinced that his agreement with Zurab has been finalized, allowing him to depart for Budapest. However, Zurab has different intentions. Pretending to be unaware, he asserts that their contract stipulated 3 fights and that Kazmir was not the club's legitimate champion. Instead, Zurab unveils a new contender, the Nightmare, a formidable adversary who is twice Yuri's size. Alma, positioned next to Zurab in the VIP area, watches with increasing apprehension as the match commences. In the initial moments, the Nightmare delivers a devastating blow, sending Yuri crashing to the canvas. His mouthguard is propelled from his mouth, skidding across the ring as the audience erupts in exuberant cheers, convinced that the contest is already decided.
For the main event of the night, a true monster fresh out of prison.
Zurab's self-satisfied grin widens as he observes his champion's seemingly imminent triumph. Yet, as the Nightmare basks in the glory of the moment, Yuri's fingers begin to twitch. Defying the odds, he gradually pushes himself up, each motion a struggle against the intense pain radiating from his back. When his gaze meets Alma's worried expression in the crowd, her concern ignites a fierce determination within him. Zurab's derisive smile only strengthens Yuri's resolve. The nightmare charges once more, unyielding in his onslaught, taking advantage of Yuri's compromised condition. Each blow tests Yuri's endurance, yet he remains steadfast. The agony is unbearable, but he perseveres, his movements becoming increasingly precise with each passing second. As the nightmare begins to weaken, Yuri identifies an opportunity. With both accuracy and intensity, he unleashes a series of bone-crushing strikes to his adversary's chest, the impact of each hit resonating throughout the arena. The nightmare falters, momentarily disoriented, and Yuri seizes the moment. He brings the confrontation to the ground, ensnaring his opponent in a fierce hold. Drawing upon the last remnants of his strength, Yuri establishes a punishing submission grip. The nightmare writhes in desperation, his roars reverberating in the stunned silence of the audience, yet Yuri's hold remains unyielding. With one final surge of determination, he tightens his grip, and the nightmare's hand strikes the mat in surrender. The referee signals the conclusion of the match, and the arena erupts into a frenzy. Yuri collapses to his knees, his body battered but his spirit intact. As the chants of his name crescendo, Alma's astonished gaze meets Yuri's victorious eyes. In this moment, he has demonstrated that no obstacle, regardless of its magnitude, can shatter his resolve. Triumphant yet weary, Yuri exits the ring, only to be ambushed by Zurab's men wielding batons. He observes Zurab forcefully seizing Alma and dragging her away from the VIP area, but he is powerless to act. Left beaten on the ground, Yuri's seemingly lifeless form prompts Alma to scream in horror, fearing he is dead. As chaos engulfs the club, the frightened crowd rushes to escape, convinced that a police raid is in progress. Despite his severe injuries, Yuri manages to regain consciousness. He fiercely takes down Zurab's guards, although he is shot by one of them in the process. Hearing the gunfire, Zurab seizes a pistol and attempts to flee the club with Alma. Yuri pursues him, engaging in a gunfight that results in further injuries. Nevertheless, he catches up to Zurab just as the latter reaches his vehicle. After the confrontation, Alma and Yuri are left alone. She implores him to seek medical assistance, but he remains resolute, his determination unshaken. Gathering his courage, Yuri asks her if she can ever find it in her heart to forgive him. Unfortunately, Yuri Boyka does not receive the long-awaited words of forgiveness from Alma. Accepting his fate, he surrenders to the authorities and finds himself once again incarcerated in the notorious Black Hills Penitentiary. 6 months later, Alma visits Yuri for the first time. She expresses regret for her delayed visit, explaining that she needed time to process her feelings. Initially, she was overwhelmed by anger towards him, but his actions revealed to her that goodness still exists in the world. Alma expresses her gratitude to Yuri for restoring her freedom and dignity. At last, she utters the words he has yearned to hear.
I forgive you.
Yuri's tumultuous journey reaches a temporary conclusion. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, leave a comment about your favorite movies and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.